Part of why I'm really passionate about telling queer histories is because these conversations have been happening since the beginning of time. And I want to place old stories in new contexts so that people understand that these aren't a blip on the radar. These conversations around gender and identity and sexuality, that they have always been in the discourse. They just have not been on the surface of it. So that's really important to me as an artist and as a mission. I'm Em Weinstein, and I'm the playwright and director of a new play called Soldier Girls, which I like to say is a lesbian musical sex comedy.
She's the redhead with the big
glasses?
boobs. Yeah. Anyway.
I've been directing and writing plays since I was 10 years old. My mom is an experimental theater artist, teacher, and started directing after I had brain surgery, actually, when I was 10 years old. I was in a wheelchair for a few months, recovering from having a brain tumor, and I started writing plays and have sort of been creating theater ever since. I went to Smith College, where I got to direct on a really large scale, very young, and then started directing professionally right after college. And I finally ended up doing my MFA at Yale School of Drama. I graduated last year with a degree in directing. And while I was there, I started making films, and I started writing, and I started getting really interested in original musicals and how we can take the American musical, which is frankly one of the greatest things this country has ever come up with, in my opinion, and bring it into the 21st century to be something that's really fun and sexy and queer and young. So that's sort of where Soldier Girls came out of.
Touch her thighs and kiss her neck.
And be sure to double check.
She's not an actress or a Gemini.
An alcoholic private eye.
On recon for the Germans.
Or an heiress dressed in ermine.
Or a lying sack of vermin.
Like my ex, Augusta Herman.
Yes, I'll make sure to determine.
Baby, I could write a sermon.
What if I don't like it?
Then we can stop.
What if you don't like it?
I like it.
Well, what if you don't?
It's an experiment.
I failed chemistry.
I was good at chemistry.
Will I need gloves?
Women's Army Corps, which was founded in World War II for the purpose of women getting involved in the war effort, ended up being a pivotal moment for queer liberation and for women's liberation and in lesbian history just generally.
Gentlemen of the Senate, manhood is under attack. What has become of us men when we have to call on our women to protect us?
Gentlemen of the Senate, my name is Colonel Oveta Kopabi. I'm a wife. I'm a mother and a wife. I'm a colonel in the United States Army, the only female colonel, in fact. Colonel is spelled C-O-L-O-N-E-L. It doesn't have an R in it. I'm aware of that.
Is it advisable, long before the supply of manpower is running short, to put a lot of young, vigorous girls into a vaguely defined non-combatant branch of the Army? Wouldn't it be wiser to encourage them to marry, produce children?
Why not put these girls to use? Many even have college degrees. Some even speak a foreign language.
What of the
Why
masculine
not,
environment
I
of the
say?
Army? Do we not fear that the disease of tomboyishness will spread amongst them?
It is well known that enlisted men despise office work. They long to march into battle, to drive tanks, fly airplanes, to drop bombs, build trenches, shoot machine guns, pull out the throbbing viscera of the enemy with their virile young fingers. How many of our boys could be free from the drudgery of paperwork and transcription if we put girls into our war offices to operate our radios and answer our telephones?
Women aren't made for war.
Girls love telephones,
Gentlemen, everybody knows that.
I'm a huge nerd for 1930s and 1940s musicals. I always have been. I sort of was raised on Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers, and then I should say the 50s too. I love Gene Kelly and Gershwin and Cole Porter. And I think that, you know, for so long we have described those musicals in relation to queer history, in terms of gay men, especially. I mean, they've sort of gotten to own the whole genre in terms of queer musical. But for me, as an assigned female at birth queer person, these musicals meant a lot. And in some way, I always saw gender as being played with in these musicals. And so I always have wanted to add to that canon, even though it's, you know, decades and decades later. And when I started working on a show that took place in the 1940s, I was like, oh my God, it needs to involve that music. I started working with Emily Johnson Airday, who's the composer on Soldier Girls. And she has a super unique background. She's done folk and bluegrass music and jazz. And so what you'll hear in this musical is a whole bunch of different music sampled from across many genres. I mean, there's an Ani DeFranco inspired number. There's a Riot Girl inspired number.
Lost in the limbo, in the first flesh of youth, but an echo remains of trust and truth. Yeah. God's in his heaven, and I'm in my hell. I shall only hope that you are well.
Something that I found really, really satisfying was the chance to take someone's journals and put them to music. The two lesbian breakup songs toward the middle of the show are both directly from Marvel's diary after Esther and Marvel's breakup. And there was something so sacred about taking a text that someone never intended to share. It's in her private journal and it's her most terrible moments. And just taking that intimate, vulnerable piece of text and giving it everything that I possibly can.
So pack up your troubles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile.
My dramaturg Rebecca and I found this amazing archive housed at USC called the One Archive, which is this incredible treasure trove of queer history. And through that archive and a trip to LA, we discovered the incredible letters of female soldiers during World War II, these very erotic love letters between a number of soldiers in the Women's Army Corps. And from those letters, a story emerged of this beautiful, sexy, and sort of forbidden love story between these two female soldiers. Rebecca and I and two actors went to Adelphi University with New York Theater Workshop and spent 5 days just playing with things. We laid out all of the letters, and we had a table full of books. And by the end of that 5 days, I realized a few things. One, that I wanted it to be a musical. Two, that I wanted it to just be two people. And three, that I wanted it to really traverse genres. Eleanor Roosevelt and others fought for the Women's Army Corps to exist. And unlike the male army, homosexuality wasn't something that was talked about from the start. So whereas in the army proper, there were all of these ways that homosexual men were screened out and persecuted. They were so oblivious to the idea that women could desire each other that for a very long time there was no screening process. By the time women started to meet and fall in love, and the army started to wake up to the fact that they had what they called a lesbian menace at their hands, they had to strike out, and they ended up doing so by targeting especially butch women, and by using pretty harmful tactics to dishonorably discharge those soldiers.
In my entrance interview, they ask if I'm homosexual. I've never heard that word before, not out loud. Anyway, there's a tingling sensation on the third syllable. Sexual. I say no. I'm not lying. I've never done anything that would categorize me as. But, of course, there were those times long ago, at night, laying on top of my pillow, rubbing back and forth, thinking about. But I haven't done that in a while. And there's no way she could know, this serious officer who asks me so matter of fact about that.
It's really fascinating because for a moment, these communities were fostered in the barracks of the Women's Army Corps that then led to movements after the war. So it led to bars being created and these communities sort of sprouting up and finding each other again, because for the first time, queer women could find each other in these single sex spaces and organize and plan and fall in love and meet each other.
I like the army, 'cause it's full of pretty girls. And my mother isn't here, and I'm not in West Virginia, and the world is larger than it's ever been before. Now in pants instead of pantyhose, I'll fix a million radios. From Tokyo to Amsterdam, Paula Jean to Marianne. Now a necktie set of pearls, some in pigtails, some in curls. Oh yes, I like the army, 'cause it's full of pretty girls.
I like the army, 'cause it's clear and it's determined. And my father isn't here, and I'm not in Flatbush, Brooklyn, and the world is larger than it's ever been before. Now,
You know, when I started working on the piece, I struggled with this question of relevance. World War II is a very well-worn subject matter on stage and on screen. And so I was really wondering, why add to that canon? And I realized, so much about the Army and who makes up the Army today and who made up the Army back then is not in our public discourse. But so much has changed and so little has changed in our military. And I wanted to dive deep into understanding how women first were welcomed into the Army and then what the history of their participation in the US military has been till now. Because it's a story that bears telling and that needs to be told and retold.